Good evening and salutations, my B&B fans. Let's talk about Steffi, Thomas, and Taylor. So Steffi tells Taylor, yeah, Brooke is cheating on our dad. And at first she's kind of shocked. And the way she said it, she was like, but not just with anyone, with Deacon. Deacon! And I was like, okay, she heard you the first time. She didn't repeat it like that in this episode, but she did that Friday though. And I was just like, yeah, I think she heard you the first time. You said it right in front of her face. Um, and at first she's a little kind of taken back, and then she's like, "Oh, well, maybe it was just a kiss or whatever." It's like I'm not trying to take her side or anything like that, but maybe it was just if it was just a kiss, and it was like, whoa, if it was just a kiss, what? If Ridge was married to you and he kissed another woman, would you just sit there and say, "Oh, it's just a kiss"? I don't understand where that came from. But, Steffi was like, no, we have security footage. Me and Thomas, we got so and so Charlie to sit there and hack their cameras and stuff like that to, get proof. And at first Taylor was like what? You did what? And Steffi was like, do you want to? Yeah, I want to say. Okay. So she looks and she sees the fact that, Deacon spent the night. And, here's the thing. When I said this on Friday, I was like, okay, so you got them leaving the next day. You don't actually have them, doing it. Like, you didn't catch them on camera doing anything. The problem is that is just bad enough. And somebody pointed out, it was just bad enough. The fact that he was there overnight is just, what the hell is he Smith there doing in his house or their house overnight? So that is bad. Um, but then after that, Steffi was like, he's been defending our Thomas. One of those was like, he's been defending Brooke all these years and all these years. She's been doing this to him, and finally, and I think Steffi was like, it'll suck, that he hurts or whatever, but he needs to sit there and see her for who she is, and blah 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 blah. But then, she starts once again playing matchmaker, like, oh, well, I know you would never sit there and try to, steal dad away from Brooke or, interfere with their marriage. Like, yeah, okay. But, we can now sit there and be a family. But you just, I mean, granted, I get the fact that she didn't sit there and say, well, now's your chance to go, like, I need you to go in there and start messing stuff up. But it's like, it just seems very vulture like, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not just saying that, she might actually be better for him than Brooke, but, it's just coming, it's especially when she's sitting there talking about, like, very vulture, like, oh, well, they're vulnerable and she's down, and now you can sit there and just swoop in and just, take him away from her. Like, it seems very vulturous, like, um, and when she talks about it, it's like she's just and she doesn't realize just like, do you understand how that comes across as? Um, yep, you know what I'm talking about. Paris, my favorite subject. That was a little bit too much, but still. So Paris is sitting there talking to Carter, and Carter's sitting there breaking up. He's like, "Yo, listen, this is best for both of us. With the job and everything like that, and the foresters and not hurting them and not, messing you up in good standards." And it's like everything that he says to her, every logical thing that he's saying to her, just goes in one ear and out the other. And she comes across as a bit desperate. I'm gonna be honest with you. She was like, "Well, you can't deny our pull, and if it's with Zende, then or let me worry about my job." And I'm like, "Oh, sweetheart, someone has to worry about your job. I mean, you're literally sitting there. let me just get this straight. You're willing to sit there and throw your future away with that company, a great job that you have. You're willing to sit there and throw it away for him? For him. You're willing to sit there and just throw all that away or risk all that for him? Because I don't see this going any other way, but she's just in la la land and she is just trying to make, she's like, well, I'm gonna refuse and blah blah blah. So she leaves. Carter does what any man would sit there and do, and they're sitting there thinking about a woman, and they're trying to, I don't know, block them out or kind of like, push them to the side, push them out of their mind or whatever. It works out. So Grace, I'm not gonna lie, the way that Grace comes across, it's not. I mean, here's the thing: it's very annoying because it's overbearing and it's just like I don't like her attitude. I've said that before and called her a bunch of names, which I still stand by. But now it's getting to a point where it's just weird. It's just uncomfortable. Like, she walks in the office, she sees Paris kind of down, and, Paris is like, I'm not really hungry, and blah, 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 blah. And, she's like, well, why don't you sit there and see what Zende's doing? I mean, you can sit there and go out with him. He always makes you smile. He's a good person. He has this, he has that, blah, 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 blah. I was like, first of all, you are literally just ignoring, like, you made it seem like, okay, all she has to sit there and do is get with Zende, but she's a lot better now, blah, 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 blah. Like, she almost made it seem like he's going to sit there and fix her worries or her sadness or whatever just by being there. And I'm like, why don't you sit there and ask her what's going on with her? Like, really try to get to the bottom of it other than just try to push, because she's so busy pushing Zende onto her. And it's just one of those things where she's like, all right, listen, I got a meeting. I don't really have time, blah, blah, blah. I gotta get ready to go. And, she's like, all right, bye. But then at some point she leaves, and I guess Paris leaves. And at some point, Grace calls Carter. And at first, personally, me, I would have been like, yo, listen, it's done. Kick rocks. Don't call me again. But one, I'm a dick. Two, I just wouldn't really have anything else to say to her. But she calls him up and she's like, in this very somewhat sadistic way, like after the conversation was done, she starts smiling. And I was like, is this woman smiling? Like, that was just, like, to me, I was just weird. I wasn't even angry at that point. Normally, obviously, I get very angry at this woman. But it was just very weird. I mean, she calls up and she's like, oh, so you did what I asked you to do? Okay, good. Well, now I don't have to sit there and tell. But just to let you know, I'm going to sit there and keep my eye on you. And I'm like, okay, creepy. Like, it, it just came across like, mm, it's beyond, this is why I sit there and talk about the overbearingness, but now she's taking it to a level that's not even just overbearing. It's controlling. Says a lot about how she looks at her daughter like she's just so naive and so stupid and just can't make decisions for herself, that she has to sit there and step into her life just to do that. Just sit there and make decisions for her. But she has two great, wonderful daughters. Yeah, okay. Now the stuff with Brook and Ridge, it didn't really go anywhere. It honestly, to tell you the truth, I mean, a lot of stuff seems like it's rinse and repeat, but specifically with Ridge and Brook. Brook is feeling down. Ridge is there to support her, giving her compliments, going to a meeting with her. Here's one point where we're just like, do you ever think that you're going to be able to get past this? Like, like stop punishing yourself because, um, in the last many words, he was like, it's starting to affect the family, and, it's just one of those things where it's like, Brooke is taking a toll on her marriage regardless. Like, she wants to then try to keep her marriage, but what she's doing, in a lot of ways, I felt like what Rich was basically sitting there saying is like, yo, you're being kind of a Debbie Downer. You're dragging the family down with what you got going on. Like, you need to sit there and find a way to start to forgive yourself because you are putting us all in this hole. At least that's just my bit of, I know it's a little bit more complicated than that, but like that was kind of just one of my takes. Like what did you mean by that when you're like, when he was talking about her as far as affecting their family? Like, what are you saying? Um, but yeah, again, doesn't go anywhere. Just rinse and repeat. Now the last scene is with Sheila and Finn, and pretty much all that happens is that Sheila shows up to Finn's job unannounced, and Finn is like, "Yo, you got to give me a heads up because Steffi could have been here." And I'm like, "You was worried? You was worried that she was gonna yell at you?" Like, I mean, here's the thing. I get the fact that he's trying to respect her. Respect the fact that she's not comfortable with Sheila being around anyone that she cares about. Okay, so I get that he's trying to be a good husband. He's trying to support her and respect her wishes and stuff like that. But the way he said, he was like, well, Steffi could have been here, and if Steffi's here, I mean, uh, I just don't think that you should be here. Like that worry, like, bro, we're, in a lot of ways, I was like, listen, that you're trying to test this guy's manhood. I'm like, damn, bro, like, really? But she's there. She brought him some cupcakes or something like that. They talked for a little bit, and then Sheila, like typical Sheila, um, after talking about Steffi not wanting her to be around that much and Taylor being more accepting, she's like, well, there's one other roadblock, and that's Brooke. But she's gonna get her day of reckoning. And I'm like, bro, she literally just sat there and practically, and not so many ways, kind of threatened Brooke. You might want to sit there and check her on that. And then, finish like, well, what did you mean by that? What does she mean? This woman's past. That the whole reason why you was kind of shook is because Steffi does not feel comfortable for the fact that she still sees her as a sociopath. Okay? And so when she's sitting there talking about Brooke, as far as, well, she's been sitting there trying to be a roadblock, this, that, and the third, but she's going to get her day of reckoning. It's like, what did you think that meant? Bro, you went to medical school. You got to sit there. But then after that, she does leave and she does what Sheila does best. I think you can kind of already guess that. Give you a few seconds. That's right. I know this joke is old. I know this comment is lame and it's been said way too many times, but unfortunately, I got to kind of call it how I see it. She sits there or she is, in her room or wherever she's at. I can't even remember. It's not there monologuing like a DC villain, talking about how proud of herself she is, patting herself on the back for getting her to drink. And I'm like, it's this type of attitude right here why they don't want you around. Like, seriously, it's that type of attitude right there that you're just like, you're so happy for practically ruining someone else's life that's why they don't want you around. They don't want you around your son. They don't want you around your grandchildren. They don't want you around, period. But, she's a sociopath, so she can't really sit there and say that. Anyway, with that being said, I think that's about it. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.